Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time around we had Diavolo Surfaces, where basically the gang was still chasing after Chariot Requiem, and eventually they realized that Diavolo's spirit must preside within one of their bodies along with them, and they eventually figured out that it was Trish. Trish and Diavolo were both inside of Mista's body, basically. And there was a whole bunch of stuff. Eventually, Diavolo was able to... he was able to pin down Chariot Requiem and destroy it. And he was going to take the arrow, but then there was a bunch of shenanigans, so the arrow got tossed away. But then he tossed himself, basically, and is basically just about to grab the Requiem arrow. So... yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. There was a whole lot of other stuff in the episode, too, that kind of just didn't make sense. I don't know. I think last episode was also the one where it was like, oh yes, Chariot Requiem is starting to mutate everybody around him for some reason. I don't know. Like, look, I don't know if we're going to get another Requiem stand, but... it's, to quote the British, it's a bit of bollocks, I must say. And now every British person watching this video has really cringed, and probably everybody else too, so... it was a lot of nonsense last episode, but... yeah. Anywho, but forget all about that, unless there's more in here. I don't know, we'll have to find out. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go.
Nessuno può sfuggire dal destino scelto. Rimane solo il risultato che voi sarete distrutti. L'eterna cima esiste solo per me. Cantare canzoni di tristezza nel mondo senza tempo.
Yep. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know. See, this is a problem that King Crimson already doesn't make sense. So trying to throw a power to overcome it on top of that also doesn't... like, it doesn't help. It just makes things worse. I mean, I guess it's just... can he restore time that was obliterated? I don't know. Requiem can talk. I don't like that. You know what? I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't like Requiem. Just in general. Like, Chariot Requiem? Nah. Golden Wind Requiem? No, I don't think I like this. Now, is it bad? No, and I'm still enjoying it, but these just don't make any sense. They just don't. This is just like a little too much for stans, you know? Like, you know what? I'm gonna hope, and this is probably a foolish thing to say, but I'm gonna hope that in part 6, things get a little bit more simple. You know? I hope things get a little bit more simple. Like, alright. Villain, hero, fight, let's go. You know what I think it is? I think it's just because the Requiem arrow, it's too much of an outside element. I think that might be it. Whereas all previous final battles don't really have that, you know? The closest I would say to this, because this is, like, honestly, this doesn't feel like Giorno winning, you know? This doesn't feel like Giorno winning. This feels like, well, the arrow, you know, he got the MacGuffin and now he wins, you know? The closest to this, I would say, would be Joseph versus Cars, where Without even thinking about it, he holds up the Red Stone of Asia, which causes the volcano to explode and shoots cars into space, you know? But at least with that, like, that wasn't... Like, I give that a little bit of a credit because it's not that the Red Stone of Asia, like, had that, you know, like, forced Joseph to do that. Joseph did that on his own. He just didn't realize it. He just did that out of pure instinct. I would still give that to Joseph, you know? I would still give that as a win to Joseph, but no other final battle has had this sort of outside interference like this, you know? Because one of my favorite things about Jotaro versus Dio is that Jotaro has a horrible disadvantage the entire fight. The entire fight, you know? Because even when he figures out that he can move in Dio's world, he can stop time, he can do that for 2 seconds. At most, 2 seconds, and that is it. And that puts him at a horrible disadvantage to Dio, but it means he has to be clever about it, and he is, and it's one of the greatest fights in JoJo, because it's not about like, oh, I've got this thing, now let's, you know, now I can win. It's that, okay, Jotaro has to be immensely clever, you know? Like, this puts, like, you know, strategy and improvisation to, like, 1,000, you know? And he does, and he wins, you know? And part of that also is taking advantage of his opponent, because his opponent is cocky. And especially once he becomes awakened, he's really cocky, you know? And so he doesn't just kill Jotaro right then and there, which he could have done. Dio could have won that fight at any point, but Jotaro knew how to take advantage of that and win, you know? Here it's just like, oh, he got the thing. The arrow chose him, therefore he wins now. And he can reverse the time erasure or something. I don't know. Again, the problem is, it's based off of King Crimson, which already is really difficult to get a grasp on. And then it's like, alright, now this is the anti-King Crimson. That requires you to have an understanding of what King Crimson does in the first place. I don't even know if Araki knows what he does, you know? I don't even think Araki knows what's going on at this point, you know? The only thing is just, Diavolo tried to do his thing, it didn't work, and now it's muda, you know? It's like, that's it. So I don't know. By the way, they never cut back to Polnareff? Is he just dead now? Like, is Polnareff just dead now? Like, that kind of sucks. Like, they didn't go back to him and give him, like, a really good send-off, which I get. The more important one is Bucciarati, because he doesn't have a body. They both had the same thing, where they didn't have a body to go back to, you know? And that's why, you know, Doppio faded away immediately, because Bucciarati's body, you know, it wasn't really alive, so he just left that body, you know? But, like, they didn't give Polnareff a great send-off. Like, I hope we got 2 episodes left. They could still do it. They could still give Polnareff a decent send-off. And I hope they do, even though his send-off wouldn't mean as much to the gang. I mean, I feel like we deserve it, because we watch Stardust Crusaders, you know? So, King Crimson didn't hit the light source. I still don't get the light source. But he didn't actually break the light source, but Bucciarati could with Zipperman. And because of that, he was able to destroy it. It put everybody's souls back in their body. But because Bucciarati doesn't have a living body to go back to, means that he's just out. Bucciarati's gone. That is the end of Bruno Bucciarati. Honestly, one of my favorite characters in all of JoJo. I friggin' love him. And that's it. That's it for him. And honestly, yeah. You know, this part is a lot like part 3. I feel like this is like part 3 done right, you know? Where a lot of part 3 is fine, it's good, but man, it can drag on. Whereas this one, part 5, I feel like, you go, man. And I really enjoyed that about part 5. But now, we kind of have a different problem where the majority of it was really, really great and better than what part 3 did. The ending I'm not sure about, mainly just because of this whole Requiem thing, But it's still it's mirroring part 3 where, Dio has this incredible power he's talking about, and honestly now they're just sort of reusing Dio's motivation, Dio is going to rule the world, and now Diavolo wants to too. Cool. I don't know, but he wants to be the king, and he has this incredible time power, and now the protagonist suddenly at the 11th hour has this ability which can beat the villain, and it's straight up the same. It's very similar to Jotaro and Dio at the end of part 3, But I enjoyed Jotaro versus Dio more than I'm enjoying Giorno versus Diavolo. Now, granted, I guess the fight just started, Granted, the fight just started. He just got Golden Wind Requiem, I don't know. It's just, it's strange. It's very, very strange, so... And yeah, so the arrow did choose Giorno. Now, they said he's basically, Requiem is... the arrow is stuck in Requiem now, so presumably that's it for the original Golden Wind. Now, unlike Chariot Requiem, Golden Wind Requiem does still have Giorno's power, that moment where he, shot something at Diavolo, and then that stuff turned into those scorpions. He still has his power. He still has his life-creating power. So, there's at least that. His face is shit. Can we just say that? Can we just say that his face is ugly? Let's just go there. Screw it. Let's just say that. I don't like his face. I don't know. I mean, it's fine, but I don't know, it's kind of creepy. I don't know. Chariot definitely got the better glow up, but Chariot didn't have a sword, which is the entire point of Silver Chariot. He has a sword. And then, yeah, Chariot Requiem didn't have a sword, He looked like he was more of a musketeer, but he didn't have a sword. Also, is just oh yes, this is the great power that not even my user knows about. And it's oh, shut the fuck up. I don't... Why? Why stands aren't supposed to be sentient? They're a part of you. So I don't even get that. But maybe... but leeway I can give because, this episode also kind of leaves us with, oh yeah, the only people left in the gang are Mista and Trish. Both of whom have had sentient... I mean, Six Bullets is very sentient. And Spicy Lady had that moment too, but... And I give them a pass just because I like those characters, I guess you could say that with Golden Wind Requiem, it's not necessarily that, oh, now Golden Wind is just sentient, but that's the will of the arrow speaking through Requiem. Arrow doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't know. I mean, we still got 2 episodes, so I guess the fight has to keep going at to some degree. It has to keep going, and presumably, there will be a bit of a back and forth. I don't know. But so far, I just don't care for this Requiem business, And I kind of hope this doesn't continue next part, or into part 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever we go on to. Though I did see that apparently JoJo Part 9 in the manga is supposed to be starting up soon, so... This brings me to a question, by the way. Because since we are coming up on Part 6, which is the most recent part to be animated, I'm curious... well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really considered this, but, like, after I finish Part 6 in the reactions... Would you rather I wait for Part 7 to be animated, or... I mean, I'm not saying I would actively, want to seek out the manga and go read Part 7, but I could. Or would you rather me wait for the reactions? I don't know. Because, see, I don't know when Part 7 is going to be adapted. That could be like 3 years from now. And, God, I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 years, I'm kind of at that place right now where it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be or where this channel's going to be in 3 years, so... I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah. So, Golden Wind Requiem does something. I don't know what. I also assume, because it was like, oh, he was just kind of like floating there for a little while, I assume that's also like in Part 3 where it's like, well, it's not that Jotaro can fly now. It's that he jumped up. But in the manga, he had all this dialogue before he landed again. But you can't really show that in the anime without it just being Jotaro flying, I assume that's just what it is for Golden. I don't know. Maybe he could fly. I don't know. Maybe that's part of his Requiem ability. I don't know. I'm just not sure about this whole Requiem thing. It's just like... It's a little too... It's too much. It's a little too much. And especially to just kind of be thrown right at the end of Part 5. And to tie it to Polnareff, which is weird. I mean, I guess it's good that it's tied to Polnareff, because at least we understand, like... We already know what Chariot is supposed to be, so adding on top of it, like... Alright, now here's Chariot Requiem. It's like, oh, well, this is different, because we know what the real Chariot is supposed to be, Oh, the one thing... And I guess I didn't really touch on this, but I did write down... Could it be because Diavolo's visions with Eulogy are still... Like, they're still intact, even though they didn't come true. I'm wondering if it's just that what he sees is just one possibility of the future with Eulogy. But maybe Golden Wind Requiem can just change it to a different possibility, Maybe that's it, is that it's not exactly... It's not really, like, changing the erase... Or, I mean, it's not reversing the erased time. It's changing what the outcome actually is, Maybe it's something like that. I don't know, though. One thing I gotta appreciate about Part 4, because I do appreciate some things in Part 4. I appreciate that Josuke didn't need any garbage in order to beat Kira. And Kira had garbage, technically. A, he had 2 stands, and B, he had a third ability on top of it that let him reverse time. He still got his ass kicked by Josuke. And Josuke was just being Josuke, He was just doing his thing, Josuke didn't need some crazy extra ability. He didn't need something in the 11th hour. Now, yes, Jotaro was technically the one to finish off Kira. Well, technically the ambulance was, but that's beside the point. But, I mean, Josuke did most of the work, That was just like... I mean, that's like, you go in for the attack in Persona 5 and then you tag out and somebody else comes in, I can make Persona 5 references now because I'm playing Persona 5. So, yeah. But I appreciated that, So see, I'm not always a curmudgeon about Part 4. There are things in Part 4 I liked. I liked the ending of Part 4 more than I'm liking the ending of Part 5. But we still have 2 episodes, so we'll have to see. I guess that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't understand King Crimson. I don't understand Golden Wind Requiem. It's just a bunch of weird nonsense, so... Yeah. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.